Good afternoon, everybody. Today's a little bit different. I got the officer reports and witness statements back from the U.S. bank audit where I was assaulted. Usually I hold on to this stuff until I get body cams back, and I try to put it all together so it's easy to understand, but these officer reports and witness statements are just too good. I mean, we know they lie. Everyone knows they lie. Still shocked when they lie, but they always lie. But you guys are going to get a kick out of this one. So I'm going to go through this real quick. And, well, it won't be real quick. It's going to take a little bit. All right, guys, with that, if this kind of thing doesn't interest you, I will see you on the next video. I won't hold it against anybody. Some people like this granular, kind of line by line, see what police officers actually write and say. I love it. So, with that, let's see here. I am going to... There we go. Okay, let's see here. Okay, let's go through this a little bit. Daytime, address. The two crimes were simple assault and vandalism, destruction of property. There's me. They actually have me under the victim this time. It's a nice change. And then we have Brian. This is man in the red hat that yelled at me and then attacked me. And it looks like he is retired military. I'm not sure if that means armed forces or army. If you guys know, hit me in the comments so I know the correct way to address that in the future. And then we have Scott, which I believe is his friend that was with him in the green shirt. Could be wrong. There's a lot of names on here. This is Officer Sunshine. Michael Sorinko. The Brian Hedge or Haig, he's the big white guy with the bald head and the glasses, I believe. He was Sorinko's supervisor. And that's some personal redacted stuff. That's empty. Okay. Let's see here. Now, this is Officer Sorinko's reporting officer narrative. This is boilerplate up here at the top. They just changed a couple details. So let's get into it. Approximately 1,647 hours, Thurston County Dispatch received a report of a suspicious person outside the same location where the reporting party, Timothy from U.S. Bank, was reporting a suspicious person standing outside the bank window and filming everyone inside. So he's referring to at the middle part of the audit where the gentleman came out and told me I needed to leave, and his customer's privacy was my problem, not his. The person later identified as Jeremiah, who was filming, was described as a white male in his 50s, 6 foot, light build, beard, last seen wearing dark clothing. Timothy was concerned that Jeremiah was getting hold of customers' private information. Once again, your private information, not mine. I know that sounds harsh, and if you listen in the video, I even mention while I'm looking at the windows that I can't see anything, and I don't want to point it right at the computer and freak the customers out, which I wasn't. But of course, as always, they think we can see in the windows. We can't. And even the times that we can, it's not even noticeable what's really happening. It's just shapes. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. So, let's see here. I put X's next to some specific things that I thought were important. As you can tell, I've taken out everyone's last names. Just, I don't know why, but I don't like doxing people. Doesn't do anything. I wouldn't want someone to do it to me. So, let's see. Jeremiah stated that he will be in the parking lot and requested medical aid. I do not remember telling them I was in the parking lot. Parking lot is private property, so it makes no sense why they would think I was in there. Jeremiah requested medical aid. Said U.S. Bank employees were trying to confront him. I asked for medical aid. Medical aid came, and they never talked to me. Never saw me. Never even remotely said, "You good?" Nothing. So that, I don't know how that falls under, whether it's a lie or a misstatement or whatever. Another unknown reporting party stated that he saw the male, Jeremiah, taking photographs when another male, Brian, came out of the bank and assaulted him. Both parties were still at the scene and that Brian possibly smelled like alcohol. So, an unknown party called in and corroborated my story. I really wish I knew who reported it. Apparently, they didn't want nothing to do with it, which I can't blame him for that. So, there is an unknown reporting party stating that I was taking photographs when another man, Brian, came out of the bank and assaulted me. Both parties were still at the scene, and Brian possibly smelled like alcohol. Another reporting party, possibly a bank employee, Jonathan. I think Jonathan's the bald guy that went back inside, put on some fighting gloves, and came back out, basically intimidating me to do something, to antagonize the situation more. Why would a bank employee come out to a man on the sidewalk with fighting gloves? Very professional. So, Jonathan stated that Jeremiah was the suspect who used his camera on a pod to assault Brian. Sure, whatever. I can't believe that's what he saw. Makes sense, though. Everyone lies. Cameras don't. Jeremiah did not wish to tell me what had occurred, but was actively trying to fast forward and rewind his 360 camera to show me what would take place. So, Jeremiah did not wish to tell me. There's a little slip, making it look like I didn't want to cooperate. Jeremiah did not wish to tell me what had occurred, but was actively trying to fast forward, rewind, show me what took place. So if they ask you questions and you answer them and you're a little bit off, or you got one part mixed up with another part, they'll hold it all against you, tear your story apart just so they don't have to do anything. Just because they don't want to do their job. That's my impression. So he made it look like I wasn't cooperating when, in fact, I told him when he asked me if I wanted to tell him my story, I just told him I'll show you the video. That way there's no bad interpretation. It's just the video, like I said, doesn't lie. But he's making it sound like I didn't want to do anything. And it's a narrative they push. I'm sorry, guys. I'm rambling on this stuff. It still gets me worked up reading it. So the video showed Brian approaching Jeremiah and swatting at Jeremiah's camera. Brian did not make contact with Jeremiah or his camera. Why is that? I don't understand why it's worded that way. Showed Brian approaching Jeremiah and swatting at Jeremiah's camera. Brian did not make contact with Jeremiah or his camera. Seems like this last part could go. Just Jeremiah and swatting at Jeremiah's camera. But see, here's that little narrative. But he didn't make contact with the camera. The camera was fine. So then a struggle then ensued between Brian and Jeremiah, where it looked like both were holding onto the camera stand. Well, yeah, when you swing at the camera stand, come after me, I put it up to protect myself, and you did what you did. It just, the lies and lies and lies. The camera fell to the ground. There's another lie. Remember, this is Officer Sorenko. This isn't a witness. This isn't someone that called in. This is the officer saying this. It says the camera fell to the ground. Now, what would you take that as? It was dropped, accidentally kicked, bumped. Yeah, the camera didn't fall to the ground, Sorenko. it was slammed into the ground under my body after I was pushed on top of it. That's a whole lot different than the camera fell to the ground. So it became unclear what had occurred. When the camera was picked up, it showed Jeremiah calling dispatch. There was very limited info, very limited to no sound on the video recording, and it was unclear as to what was being said by both parties. Now, I will give Sirinko that. It was hard to hear the volume on it. I was actually pretty disappointed. And I asked him personally, I said, hey, let's go to a car. Can we go to a business? Or my preference was sit in a car and listen to it. He wanted nothing to do with it. He just nothing. Then he says, Jeremiah stated that he would email us a copy of the video. So I want you guys to remember that. Email us a copy of the video. So, as we go on, now we're going to get Brian's statement, the guy in the red hat. So, Brian stated that Jeremiah was taking pictures of them, implying bank staff and customers. Brian did not want Jeremiah to take pictures of him and got annoyed when Jeremiah did not stop. I imagine that's after he came out and screamed at me on the sidewalk. So Brian swatted at the camera. Okay, doesn't mention at all about him coming out and yelling at me. He was just annoyed when I wouldn't stop. That's it. See, there's all these little things they leave out. He leaves out that he came out and yelled at me, screamed at me, and then went back inside. Of course, that part doesn't help his story, so why would he do that? And Jeremiah did not stop. Whoop, where'd I go? Brian swatted the camera and missed after a short struggle. Brian swatted at the camera but missed after a short struggle. He swung at the camera before anything even happened. He swung, he missed. I tried to back away. But he says he swatted it after we were already struggling. So that's a flat out lie. And after a short struggle, Brian said that Jeremiah hit him with the camera stand. Okay. Brian said that Jeremiah hit him with the camera stand, causing an injury to his left elbow, and punched him in the nose. Brian then pushed Jeremiah, causing Jeremiah to fall to the ground. I observed a fresh injury to Brian's left elbow that had been recently treated by OFD at the scene. I also observed redness to Brian's nose. Okay. Briefly spoke with Sergeant Haig, blah, 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 blah. So this is Sirinko again. I also spoke with the bank manager, Timothy, who stated law enforcement would potentially need to apply for a subpoena to get some of their footage. Now, why would a bank be so against helping law enforcement? You think they would just, oh yeah, what do you need? Help you right now. What's up? Nope. They're doing everything they can to make it so police cannot get evidence. Yeah, it doesn't sound guilty at all. Then I walked over to Jeremiah to explain the situation. Told Jeremiah both him and Brian were going our separate ways. That the video footage shown by Jeremiah was not clear and that the bank was requesting a subpoena to view their footage. Yeah. I told Jeremiah that we needed to review the bank camera. Jeremiah picked up his camera and walked away. Jeremiah returned and asked where his stuff was. I told him I did not know. I asked Jeremiah twice more if he wanted my name, badge, and case number, but he kept interrupting. Let's just stop right there for a second. Wanted my name, badge, and case numbers, but he kept interrupting. He was trying to give me his info, and when I said I want to know why he gets to leave, he just kept repeating, do you want my name, badge, and number? I asked him again, I want to know why he gets to leave. And he says it again, do you have any questions? Yes, why did this man get to leave? He leaves all that out. That's another lie. I asked Jeremiah twice more if he wanted my name, badge, and case numbers. He kept interrupting. Now here we go. In an attempt to agitate and bait police into an argument. Wanting to know what's happening with the person that just attacked you is baiting and agitating police. I want everyone to soak that in. Olympia police officer Michael Surenko. In an attempt to agitate and bait police into an argument. Shortly after I left the immediate area and entered the bank to speak with Timothy. As I passed Jeremiah, he said to me, "You are about worthless," which concluded my interaction with Jeremiah. See, this is another thing they do. They will put in every little word or comment that makes you sound immature, that makes you sound like you're the instigator, that make you sound like you're not cooperating. And they do that on purpose. They lie. I don't know why I have such a hard time grasping it. It's like you naturally want to believe them, but yeah, you just can't. I mean, just left out information. I mean, vital information and information that's relevant, but he only wants to give his narrative. That's just it. He doesn't want to do the investigation. He doesn't want to do the work. My guess, he's just lazy, and no one's called him on his shit. So, next, I entered the U.S. Bank and spoke with Timothy, who is the bank manager, I believe. He's the smaller guy. Timothy called Scott Broomer. Repeat that. Timothy called Scott Broomer, Regional Security Manager. Scott Broomer, Regional Security Manager, who stated that he would look into the footage for me. I advised Scott that he was being audio and video recorded, blah, 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 blah. Scott watched CCTV footage and stated that the footage was very distant. It did not clearly show what had occurred. I provided Scott with an Axon link, and shortly after, he uploaded the footage to the police department online. Okay. Now listen, he talks about how fast he got the footage from Scott Broomer. And he stated, gave him a whole description. Distant, did not clearly show anything, what had occurred, and then they give you a link so you can upload your evidence to their servers. And yeah, I'm not uploading anything to a police department server. I mean, talk about, I'm not going to say it. Okay. I provided Scott with the Axon link, and shortly after, he uploaded the footage to Olympia Police Department. He reviewed the footage, distant angle of Brian and Jeremiah, not possible to even identify it was them except for the time and place. It was not clear as to what exactly had occurred between both parties. On his video it was. My video, crystal clear, with audio that he didn't want to hear. Upon returning to OPD, I uploaded Jeremiah's partial. You see, these very specific words. Jeremiah's partial camera footage. He has the whole damn camera footage. The entire thing. There's another lie, Surenko. Video is evidence as police department. Okay. Don't get ahead of me here. It's kind of hard not to. So, Jeremiah has not contacted me or any other OPD officer to provide us with full video. That's another lie, Surenko. I contacted Officer Shea twice. He even called me on his own time. And on top of that, I told you on the scene that I would get home, produce the video, and send it to you. Does Surenko say that in here? No. It's all how you word it. He has not contacted me or any other officer, lie, to provide us with a full video in relation to what had occurred. So therefore, Jeremiah is not cooperating. Jeremiah is refusing to go along with the process. I'm what do you say? In relation to what occurred, Jeremiah became uncooperative at the scene. Uncooperative. That was when I was asking for an answer. And he'd ask me right back, do you have any questions? Yeah, dumbass. Why is this happening? He didn't have any time. Does not care. Won't care. Never gonna care. I am requesting this case be referred to the prosecutor's office for the following charges. Brian, attempted malicious mischief and assault in the 4th degree. Now, I looked up on ChatGPT-4 malicious mischief in Washington. It says malicious mischief refers to the willful, wanton, or reckless damage to or destruction of another person's property. It typically involves intentionally causing harm to someone else's belongings out of ill will or resentment. Yeah, I think he was pretty pissed off at me, so I guess it'd fall under that. For example, if someone deliberately vandalizes a neighbor's car or breaks their window, that would be considered malicious mischief. The severity of the offense can vary, and different jurisdictions may classify it into different degrees based on the extent of the damage and intent. In Washington State, malicious mischief in the 3rd degree, which I think is what they're referring to, occurs when an individual knowingly and maliciously causes physical damage to someone else's property, but the circumstances do not amount to malicious mischief in the 1st or 2nd degree. The classifications into different degrees helps differentiate between minor incidents and more serious cases. So, covers pretty much everything. I also looked up on ChatGPT-4 the definition in Washington of assault in the 4th degree. It says it is often referred to as assault 4. Is defined as an assault that does not amount to assault in the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd degree or custodial assault. It is considered a gross misdemeanor. Here are the key points of assault 4 in Washington. It involves an assault on another person under circumstances that are less severe than those required for higher assaults. Check. The law states that a person is guilty of assault 4 if they assault another person and the circumstances do not amount to more serious assaults classified as 1st, 2nd, 3rd degree. Check. Domestic violence is pleading assault 4 can be classified as Class C felony. Looks like for any assault 4, the penalties for assault 4 can include up to 364 days in jail and a fine of $5,000. Yeah, that's assault 4 in Washington. Not sure what your guys's are like. Now, I wanted to quickly break down Washington State self-defense. Now, in my own opinion, we don't have self-defense. I protected myself once, got charged. Protected myself twice, went to jail. Protected myself 3 times now, and still charged or referred to. So yeah, let's break it down. Certainly, in Washington State, self-defense is recognized as a legitimate defense against certain criminal charges, including assault or homicide. Here are the key points related to it. All right, in Washington, we have a no duty to retreat. Washington law does not impose a duty to retreat. This means that if a person is being attacked in an area where they are allowed to be, they do not have to try to escape to safety. So, run that by again. In Washington, you do not have a duty to retreat if someone attacks you in an area where you're allowed to be, like on a sidewalk with a camera. So, no duty to retreat. And I tried to retreat. I tried to get away from him. I tried to stop the whole thing from happening. I retreated. Still didn't matter. Should have been self-defense right there. That should have ended it. Reasonable force. You're allowed to use force to defend yourself if you are being attacked. Okay? I held the camera monopod up in front of me and tried to protect myself. Didn't use any force whatsoever when they're being attacked, or have a reasonable belief that they're about to be attacked. When he swung at me, yeah, I had reasonable belief I was about to be attacked. However, the force used must be necessary and proportionate. So Brian swung at the camera, gave me reasonable force. I still backed away. I had the right to defend myself from being attacked. Didn't do that either. Still tried to get away. No proportionate action at this point has been reciprocated. It's been all Brian. And now here we go. Don't forget, they are referring assault in the fourth degree charges on me. I don't know what the prosecutor is going to do, but Sirinko, after they had no evidence, I had evidence. Doesn't matter. 3 people against 1. You want to know how terrifying that is, guys? What was his name? Officer Pruinda, or what? Aaron Pruinda. Anyway, with the Lacey Police Department. He said to me on my audit there, I told him I wouldn't give him my information to use it against me. And he said the quiet part out loud and said, all I need is 3 witness statements, implying that these 3 people right here, doesn't matter what they say, you just need 3 people agreeing on something and you're going to jail. Let that soak in. 3 people can manipulate a story with absolutely no evidence. Just eyewitness testimony that is the absolute most unreliable testimony in the court of law you could possibly get. So, we'll see how that goes. And don't forget, I certify, declare, penalty of perjury. Officer Sirinko. I certify, declare under penalty of perjury in the laws of the United States, foregoing is true and correct. Okay, Sirinko. Now, these are the 2 gentlemen, Jordan Anderson and Tyler Sparks. These gentlemen did not come talk to me. They stayed with Brian the entire time, him and the fire truck, EMS. Let's see here. Boilerplate. I observed Brian on the tailgate of the truck, Jeremiah standing in front of the truck on the sidewalk. I spoke with Brian about the incident, and he said he was attacked by Jeremiah. Okay. Brian allowed me to take photos of the red marks and lacerations he got during the fight. Okay. Didn't state that Brian started the fight, but okay. Brian had a cut on his hand and elbow, along with a red mark on his forearm and a swollen nose. Brian provided me with a written statement. Oh yeah, we're going to get to that. I spoke with a witness, Edward, which I think is the guy in the green shirt, about the incident. Edward stated that he saw Jeremiah attack Brian and provided me a written statement, which I later provided to Officer Sirinko. Edward stated that Jeremiah was asked to stop filming bank customers before the altercation started. Okay. Jordan Anderson and Tyler Sparks. I certify, declare under penalty of perjury, same as before. Man, lying on an official police report. Assault in the fourth degree for hitting Brian with the camera stand, causing an injury, and punching him in the nose. See, they leave out... Oh, I'm not even going to do it. Okay. Bear with me, guys. This is my first time going through this. I'm kind of all over. I'll get better. So, here we go. These are good. Jonathan's witness statement. I think Jonathan was the bald guy that put on the fighting gloves with the hard knuckles, like motorcycle gloves. The only reason you have them is for riding a bike or for beating the crap out of someone. So, let's see his statement. At approximately close of business day, 5 p.m., person A wearing a red hat. So Brian, the attacker, is person A. He swatted at the camera of person B, Jeremiah, who is holding the camera on a tripod. Person B, Jeremiah, then clashed with person A. So we go from holding a camera on a tripod to then clash. Once again, lies, lies, lies. I didn't clash with anyone. It should say on a tripod pole. Then, while Jeremiah was standing there filming us, I walked up, swung at his camera, grabbed his equipment, and started pushing him down the sidewalk with it. That's where the clash came in. Person A, Brian, resulting in them both struggling with the tripod. So after I assaulted him, we both started struggling with the tripod. I never even touched the man. Not one finger. It is possible that tripod was used by person to fight with. No, it was used by the person to keep your crazy friend away from me, and it was sideways. Not vertical, idiots. Person A, Brian, by my recollection, pushed person B, Jeremiah, down the street. Pushed person B down the street. Does that sound like you're being attacked? Does it sound like, I don't know. Sound like Brian's the one attacking me? I can barely read this. Push person B down the street. Before person B swung on person A. So, before Jeremiah swung on Brian, Brian then fell to the ground. And then he didn't fall to the ground. I fell to the ground. He must have screwed this up and put A instead of B. Anyway, basically, it says, I fell to the ground, and then Brian just walked away. You know what? That's funny. I'm going to bring that up. Not once has any cop or any statement talked about him running. I mean, literally running. Walked down an alley, tried to get as much distance as he could from me, and then he took off running. Oh, I don't know. Doesn't that count for anything? Doesn't that show guilt of something? I mean, turns out he's got warrants, but you'd think the cops would do something about that. But they didn't. They knew it, and they didn't. Okay. Now we have Brian, the man that attacked me. His statement is a lot of meat to it. A lot of context. He hit me with his camera stand and punched me in the nose, bleeding from elbow and wrist. He hit me with his camera stand. No mention of coming out and cussing at me. No mention of coming out and swinging on my camera. No mention about grabbing my property while I was trying to get away from the situation. No mention of any of that. Just that, I hit him with the camera stand and then punched him. So I'm not buying that. Not for a second. And it's not going to fly with the judge either. She's going to want to know a lot more than just that. Okay. Edward. Let me look here. I believe that's his buddy in the green shirt. I had to take notes on this. Okay, he says, Brian was assaulted by a man. The man hit him with a camera stand. Once again, these lies. He was assaulted by a man. First he cussed out a man. Then he came out and swung at the man. Then he grabbed the man's property. Then he pushed him down the street with his property. See, the whole beginning they leave out. He was assaulted by a man. The man hit him with the camera stand. The man had been asked to not take pictures of the bank customers. This last part is irrelevant. I wish people were smart enough to know that, but feelings aren't law. And here we go. Timothy. Timothy is the bank manager, the little guy, not the aggro, meathead, aggressive guy. He lives in Yelm, though. Okay, individual with camera. Now, bank manager. Individual with camera was taking video and photos in branch. Brian went out after Brian, the attacker. Brian went out after banking. Here's the important part. I didn't see the other activities outside. I came around the corner and Brian was bleeding. That's nothing. I mean, I think he saw plenty. I think he saw exactly what him and his buddy wanted to see, and now he's trying to maneuver himself legally with his employer. That doesn't look good, especially when you guys are buddies and you instigate this. You fire start it. And that's it, guys. Next thing we have to look forward to is body-worn cameras. So there should be 1, 2, 3, there should be 5 officers' body cams. So that should be very revealing, to say the least. So, like I said, that's going to do it. And I'll catch you on the next one. We out.